This film begins by showing a really bad prison where a bunch of criminal guys are locked up. These guys are getting together in an open area, getting ready for a fight. Then we meet a pretty lady named Natalie. She's just chilling while watching her grandpa work on his garden. Out of nowhere, a car crashes in, wrecking the fence and the garden. Turns out this was because a big gangster boss named Seo Yun ordered it. He did that because he wanted Natalie to leave her house. While it was happening, Grandpa stands in the way of the car so it doesn't ruin his house. Then he tells Natalie to call the cops right away. But Boss Seo doesn't care at all. He tells his guys to hurt him and make way for the car. It's super sad. Natalie watches her grandpa getting hurt and he dies. Because of this awful thing, Boss Seo gets a punishment of 6 years in jail. But Natalie thinks that's not enough. She thinks it's really unfair. So she decides to dig deeper into the case and make sure he gets an even bigger punishment, like maybe even the death penalty. Then the scene shifts to 3 years later. At that time, Natalie is heading home when suddenly some of Boss Seo's men stop her. They threaten to hurt her, and turns out Boss Seo is getting out of jail early because they say he's been good. However, cause he's the one who killed her grandpa, Natalie is not happy about it at all. At that time, she talks to her buddy William Luck for help. Luck is a cop in this group called ICAC. They're like the corruption busters. There, Natalie tells him all about Boss Seo getting out early. However, Luck starts smelling something fishy, like maybe there's some secret deal going on. It's like the court, the police, and the prison warden are all in on it. At that time, Luck decides to help Natalie figure this out. Soon after, he gathers up his ICAC pals for a meeting. Then, they find out that Boss Seo isn't your everyday bad guy. He's like the big boss of a super huge drug gang. And turns out he's been to jail before, but he always gets out early. At that time, Luck and the others think Boss Seo's bribing a bunch of people to make it work. To uncover this case, Luck has a plan. He's thinking of going undercover in jail to get close to Boss Seo. Once he's in, he'll slyly figure out which officials Boss Seo has bribed. Soon after, the gang at ICAC is on board with the plan, and they'll be working outside the prison to make it a success. And before this sneaky mission starts, Luck chats with his police buddies. He asks them for a list of the really bad guys in prison. When he checks it out, he's in for a shock. There's a guy named Wong Manban on the list. Turns out, in the past, Luck caught him when Wong Manban was a crooked cop. And because of that, Wong Manban got sent to jail. Now, Wong Manban is like the big shot in prison, and it seems like he's still having a grudge about getting caught by Luck. Unfortunately, this is gonna make Luck's mission a whole lot trickier, no doubt about it. Then, in the evening, Luck started his plan. He drove his car like a crazy person so the police would come after him. And at that time, the police took the bait and started chasing him. Soon after, the police finally caught Luck. His crazy driving got him in trouble, and he ended up with a 3-month prison sentence for being risky on the road. Then, they took him to this awful prison. Inside, they'd put Luck in a cell in Block C, and the person who's in the same cell with him is Wong Manban, the guy Luck had caught before. At the same time, the prisoners were having this competition between their groups. Soon after, Luck went to check it out, and while he was there, he made friends with a prisoner named Wong Lam. Soon after, the bosses of the two groups show up, and they are Wong Man, or people called him Boss Man, and the other one is Boss Seo. Turns out, those two rule the whole prison, and they're always fighting to see who's in charge, causing a ton of problems. Then, before the game kicked off, Boss Man and Boss Seo were told to act more sportsmanlike. They agreed to have a referee. Shortly after, they both went back to their groups to pick their best fighters. Not long after, things got heated and a fight broke out. All the prisoners were super loud, getting all pumped up for this match. It was a pretty intense showdown. In the middle of the fist fight, Boss Man's fighter managed to take down Boss Seo's fighter. But hold up, Boss Seo wasn't having it. He played dirty and tackled Boss Man's fighter. And guess what? The fighter turned it around and knocked Boss Man out with just one punch. When Boss Man saw he was tricked, he wasn't cool with it either. Because of that, the two gangs were almost about to start a big fight. Lucky for them, the referee stopped it and told them to chill and be more fair. To settle things, he suggested a new way, and it was a fight where they have to endure some beating. To make it fair, they'll use new inmates for the beating. Soon after, the referee called Luck, who's a new guy in prison, to beat up the two fighters. And at that time, Boss Tso's side ended up winning because the fighter held up against Luck's punches. But suddenly, Luck hit Boss Man's fighter extra hard, making sure Boss Tso's side won. He did it on purpose to catch Boss Tso's attention and maybe become one of his crew. When the fight was done, all the prisoners headed to the kitchen for lunch. But then, surprise, the big bosses from the main police crew showed up. They were here to check out how things were going in the prison. Sadly, Boss Tso threw his food at one of the police guys. Seeing that, the cop got super mad and was about to hit him. But Luck, who's on a secret mission, stepped in. He stopped the cop and warned him that he'd report him for abusing prisoners. The cop got scared and backed off. Instead of being grateful, though, Boss Tso told Luck not to act all fancy in front of him all the time. In the afternoon, Luck was heading to the bathroom, and out of nowhere, Man's gang attacked him from behind. They knew Luck had hit their fighter really hard on purpose, but Luck didn't take it lying down. He fought back, and believe it or not, he managed to handle them all by himself. Shortly after, Boss Tso showed up too. He saw the whole thing, and he was pretty impressed by how well Luck fought. Luckily, the prison staff arrived and stopped the fight. Later that night, Wang Lam gave Luck some of his stuff because he was getting out of prison the next day. Not only that, he suggested Luck join Boss Tso's gang so that Boss Man's men wouldn't bother him anymore. At that time, Luck just smiled when he heard that, and as it turns out, Wang Lam was released from prison the next day. Because of that, Luck was feeling pretty alone since he didn't have any friends. Then he started keeping an eye on Boss Tso and his buddies while out in the field trying to figure stuff out. But suddenly, Boss Man showed up and messed things up. Turns out, Boss Man used to be a cop, so he knows Luck is spying on Boss Tso. But he wasn't there to talk about that cause he wanted revenge on Luck for getting him caught in the past. Soon after, Boss Man grabbed Luck and was about to hurt him bad, even kill him. But luckily, Boss Tso stepped in and made him leave. Thanks to his money and power, Boss Tso gets special treatment in prison. While everyone else is working, he's watching movies and stuff. Shortly after, the prison warden announced that there's gonna be some delicious food in the kitchen. Boss Tso went there alone for dinner. But suddenly, Boss Man and his gang suddenly showed up and attacked Boss Tso. Boss Man even had hot water to pour on him. Then, out of nowhere, Luck showed up and fought them to protect Boss Tso. It turned into a big fight, and Luck held his own even though he was alone. Boss Tso looked like he was in trouble though. Someone even threw flour at him, making things worse. Soon after, Boss Man grabbed a pen to hurt Boss Tso even more, but Luck jumped in and stopped him. Luck was willing to get hurt to save Boss Tso. Because of that, he got stabbed and got seriously hurt in the process. Soon after, cops showed up to break up the fight. Unfortunately, this whole thing made the tension between Boss Tso and Boss Man's groups even worse. Since Luck got hurt, they had to take him to the hospital. The next day, Luck woke up, and turns out the doctor treating him was actually an undercover ICAC member. The doc told Luck they didn't have much time and asked him to finish what he started. So he spilled the beans. He gave the names of the corrupt cops and wardens he found out about to be sent to HQ for more digging. Finally, HQ got the report. They had a big meeting to talk about the case. They invited a police agent named Ching. The ICAC also mentioned they got a similar report from a warden. But since the evidence wasn't strong enough, they told Luck to dig deeper and gather more proof. The following day, Luck is back in prison. As soon as he steps into his cell, Boss Man's gang attacks him for payback. Soon after, a fight breaks out, but officers quickly show up to stop it. To avoid more trouble, the prison folks decide to move Luck to cell block where Boss Tso's gang is. Thankfully, Boss Tso's gang gives Luck a warm welcome because he saved their boss before. Even Boss Tso himself hands him a pack of cigarettes to say thanks. Plus, he officially makes Luck his right-hand guy. This move makes Boss Man's gang think twice before bothering Luck. But at that moment, Boss Tso still has some doubts about Luck always helping him out, so he asks his lawyer, Quan Ho, to dig into who Luck really is. On the other hand, Wang Ka-an, a new officer, overhears their conversation. But turns out Wang Ka-an is actually an ICAC member assigned to help Luck in prison. At the same time, Quan Ho goes to an auction company to find info about Luck's past job. Then, the company confirms that Luck used to work there. But now he's in jail for corruption, and that hurt the company. Kwan Ho believes this and heads out. But turns out the company is actually in cahoots with ICAC to hide Luck's real identity, cause he's under suspicion. Meanwhile, back in prison, Boss Tso has gathered some of his crew, including Luck, to find out who the real traitor is. All of a sudden, they're all looking at Luck, thinking he's the one. Soon after, Boss Tso grabs a hammer and threatens to hurt them all unless someone confesses. At that time, one guy gets scared and admits he betrayed them because Boss Man threatened him. Hearing that, Boss Tso gets angry and tells Luck to use the hammer to hurt him. After this whole thing, Boss Tso starts trusting Luck a lot and makes him his right-hand person. During lunch, Boss Man causes a ruckus by throwing oranges at Boss Tso. Knowing that Boss Tso isn't having it, so a big fight breaks out between the two gangs. Because of that, the bosses end up in the warden's room, still arguing even though they're in handcuffs. On the same day, Wang Lam is sent to prison again. And guess what? He's put in cell with Luck and Boss Tso. Soon after, Wang Lam shares how Boss Tso is super influential. Even his parents are super rich. No wonder this prison bows down to him. Not long after, Wang Lam's girlfriend visits and tells him she's pregnant. He's super happy about it, thinking he's gonna be a dad. But wait, the happiness turns into sadness when his girlfriend says the baby isn't his. She wants to break up because the guy who got her pregnant is gonna marry her. At that time, Wang Lam is left all confused and upset. But lucky for him, Luck tries to cheer him up, and he manages to smile again. The next day, Kwan Ho visits the prison to see Boss Tso. There he brings bad news that the court rejected Boss Tso's early release. That's because Natalie asked ICAC to check into the court's doings. The court didn't want any part of it, so they scrapped the early release plan. Hearing that, Boss Tso gets mad and orders his gang to go after Natalie, who's stopping his freedom. Soon after, the gang starts moving to hurt Natalie. But Luck overhears their talk and quickly calls HQ to save her. Then, when HQ heard about it, they rushed to save Natalie. Unfortunately, this led to a big fight between the gangsters and the police. But because there were so many gangsters, the ICAC had a bit of trouble dealing with them. Soon after, Ching took Natalie away, but the gangsters followed them and a chase started. At that time, they ended up hiding in a toilet. Then, the gangsters searched each toilet one by one. Once they were safe, Ching and Natalie left the toilet. Suddenly, someone shot at them. But lucky for them, ICAC reinforcements came and the gangsters ran off. Then, they took Natalie to an apartment to keep her safe from Boss Tso's gang. Now let's talk about the prison again. Boss Tso's parents visited him. Turns out, he has a strained relationship with his dad, Yuan Zheng, cause he isn't a fan of Boss Tso's troublemaking. And turns out, Yuan Zheng is actually wanted by the ICAC. They say he took bribes and let corrupt folks off the hook. At that time, HQ got word that Yuan Zheng went to the prison to see his son. They think he might be trying to free Boss Tso so they can escape Hong Kong together. Because of that, the ICAC needs to act fast to stop them from getting away. Now, back to Boss Tso, he gets drunk to let out his anger about his dad. He calls Luck to join him. In his drunk state, Boss Tso talks about his rough childhood. His dad treated him terribly, so he grew up with a lot of hurt and anger. After pouring his heart out, Boss Tso crashes. Then, Luck uses this chance to search through his stuff. Guess what? He finds an important paper with the names of the police and wardens Boss Tso bribed. Not long after, Wang Lam wakes up and sees Luck snooping around in Boss Tso's stuff, but he doesn't really care and just goes back to sleep. The next day, Luck gets a visit. He tells his boss to grab the important paper he hid under the dispenser. Hearing that, his boss acts fast and takes the file. Then he asks the police commissioner to help check the list of people who visited the prison. This is to prove Yuan Zheng was there. And guess what? The commissioner finds Yuan Zheng's name on the list. Then, not long after, Yuan Zheng came to see Boss Tso. In that moment, Luck's boss calls the team to hurry and find Yuan Zheng. On the other hand, Luck and Wang Lam are cleaning the prison hallway. Soon after, the warden comes out to check on prisoners and accidentally drops his room key. Then, Luck seizes the chance to sneak into the warden's room. At that time, Wang Lam sees this and keeps quiet. He locks the prison gate so the officers don't catch Luck. Now, Luck is hunting for important files to expose the warden. Finally, he finds a super important document. But the warden forgot his key and goes back to get it. At that time, Wang Lam tries to stop the warden from going in, but the warden doesn't care and walks in. Lucky for Luck, he's hiding in a cupboard, so the warden doesn't see him. There, the warden notices the slightly open cupboard, but closes it. Soon, he realizes his crucial papers are missing. Then he tells the other officers to search the prisoners. Luck quickly hides the document under his feet. At that time, the warden starts to suspect Luck, so they search him. Eventually, they find the paper under Luck's feet. But guess what? It's not the real document. Turns out, Wang Lam tricked them by hiding it in a bottle. Then, Luck thanks Wang Lam with a drink, and they become even closer. Wang Lam learns Luck's secret that he's an undercover cop, but he's cool with it and wants to help Luck. Now, we're at ICAC headquarters. They know Yuan Zheng booked a plane ticket to escape. They're planning to catch him at the airport. But before they do that, they need strong proof to catch the cops and wardens linked to Yuan Zheng and Boss Tso. Meanwhile, back in prison, Wang Lam is getting released today. At the same time, Luck hands over the document to ICAC before he goes. However, the warden is worried because they can't find the files. Then he calls Boss Tso and spills the beans. Hearing that, Boss Tso is furious cause he doesn't want more jail time. Then Boss Tso starts to doubt Luck and Wang Lam, thinking they might be behind it. Soon after, he meets Luck and tries to get him to confess. At that time, Luck won't admit it. He says he can't betray his boss. Fortunately, Boss Tso believes Luck and thinks Wang Lam did it. Then, he orders his gang to catch Wang Lam and make him confess. At that time, they track Wang Lam down at a restaurant where he's giving the document to Luck. Soon after, Wang Lam heads home, but Boss Tso's gang grabs him and takes him to the roof for questioning. In that moment, they threaten to hurt Wang Lam if he won't confess. But to protect his best friend, he stays silent and they torture him badly. At that time, Boss Tso and Luck watch it on their phones. There, Luck pretends to laugh, hiding his guilt for involving Wang Lam. Sadly, Wang Lam gets hurt badly and falls into a coma. Back at headquarters, they check the documents Wang Lam gave. It's about the warden's kids' school fees paid by Boss Tso. This is strong proof to catch the warden and his corrupt crew. Meanwhile, Boss Tso's eating bait, celebrating Luck's departure the next day. He trusts Luck a lot and asks him to escape to Canada together. But Luck likes Hong Kong, so he says no. Hearing that, he respects that but asks Luck to kill Natalie before he goes as a goodbye. Soon after, Boss Tso was approached by Boss Man, who had some important info to share. There, Boss Man spilled the beans about Luck's true identity that turns out he's an undercover cop. Hearing that, Boss Tso's shocked. He had put so much trust in someone who was out to bring him down. So he greased the palms of the warden to grant him a temporary release. He did that because he needed to deal with Natalie, and he wanted her gone. Meanwhile, Luck got a call from his headquarters saying Natalie was in serious trouble. Without wasting a second, he dashed over to rescue her. And what do you know? When he arrived, there was Boss Tso and his gang, all set to do harm to her. In that moment, it was an all-out battle between the cops and the bad guys. Unfortunately, few ICAC officers lost their lives in the scuffle, and even Boss Tso had the upper hand against the ICAC team. On the other hand, Luck, quick on his feet, took Natalie to the rooftop to dodge the chaos. Soon after, a squad of police officers arrived on the scene, and that's when the tables turned. The police force overwhelmed the gangsters, and the situation changed completely. Meanwhile, after losing many of his men, Boss Tso rushed upstairs to take out Natalie and Luck. Soon after, a big fight broke out, but Boss Tso had the upper hand, overpowering Luck. In no time, he had his gun pointed at Natalie, ready to end her life. Fortunately, not long after, the apartment got swarmed by the police. Even helicopters were called in to capture Boss Tso from above. Now, Boss Tso and Luck are in a fight. At that time, Boss Tso won again, just like before. But it didn't take long for the police to storm in and apprehend him. Seeing the situation slip away, Boss Tso grabbed Natalie, using her as a shield. He forced her onto a police helicopter and coerced the pilot to fly. Luckily, a brave cop managed to get on board too. Then, another fight broke out there. In the midst of it, Boss Tso accidentally shot the pilot, causing the helicopter to shake. Unfortunately, everything got worse cause the helicopter was hit and started to go haywire. Realizing the danger, they all leaped into the sea. In the end, Luck managed to capture Boss Tso. Due to his actions, Boss Tso was in deep trouble. He was looking at a much longer time behind bars, and maybe even the death penalty. At the same time, the police managed to catch Yuan Zheng just as he was trying to escape from Canada. Inside the prison, the warden and his crew got arrested too, all because of their bribery schemes. This is where everything becomes clear. It turns out that Boss Man and Luck had been working together all along. Shockingly, Boss Man had intentionally made Luck suffer so that he could get close to Boss Tso. In the end, their mission to apprehend the crime boss was a success. However, they didn't stop there cause they also exposed the police officers and prison staff involved with Boss Tso. And as a result, the prison staff got replaced by new officers who won't be corrupt. Just before the film ends, we see Luck hanging out with Boss Man, who got released from prison on parole for helping Luck during this operation. And let's not forget, Luck went to see Wong Lam to express his gratitude for the assistance. With that, the film ends. The moral lesson from this film is if you're going undercover in a prison to expose corruption, make sure to bring a trusty buddy who can beat up bad guys and help you save the day.